Hello students, this is a quick video to walk you through the workshop that you're going to need to set up your homework for the GPT interaction. So this all starts with the LLM API documentation at Wolfram Alpha. Turns out it's really easy to get this going. The first thing that you'll need to do is create an account, and then the second thing that you do is obtain an app ID. So I'll show you what this looks like. It's developer.wolframalpha.com. There's a link in that documentation. You just give them your email and set up the account, and then click on Create ID. Now the name is whatever you want it to be. The description is only for you. What's important is that you select the LLM API for the description here. For the API. And then you'll submit that, and you'll get this app ID. And we're gonna come back to that in a minute here. But if you click off of this, you can always go back in and edit and get that app ID again, okay? So this might take a minute or two to become set up in the system. So if you use it too quickly and you get an error that the app ID is incorrect, just remember to wait maybe 5 minutes and try again. So once you've established an app ID, then we can go and create a new GPT that will reference this. Now, we're going to use this configure option here, but what I would recommend is that you go through the create option for the builder to get this set up initially, just to get a feel for the type of information you can include, how this all works. It's very simple and easy, but it's nice to go through that process to give you an idea of what it would look like. So come up with a name. We're going to do homework helper. The description is just for you. Or CU workshop. And then the instructions do need to be a little more descriptive, but in this case, it's very simple. This is just something that we're going to say, I am, tense doesn't matter, just try to be consistent. I am a helpful robot. I access the Wolfram Alpha API. I am friendly. Can't type here. And I am friendly and creative. All right. And additionally, Wolfram gives us a little bit of helpful information regarding the API's access, which isn't exactly necessary, but it will give us more reliable results. So if we go back to the documentation and we scroll down to the prompt engineering sample prompt, we're going to select all of this text, copy that, go back to our GPT, and we're going to say, also keep this information in mind when accessing the API. And then we're just going to paste in exactly that information. Now, conversation starters, you can say, anything that you want to have the GPT kind of have preset. Knowledge, if you have any type of large files that has any documentation that you want to reference during the process, you can upload those here, not necessary. For this, we do not need web browsing or image generation, but we do want to have the code interpreter. And then, of course, we want to have API access, so we're going to need a new action. So I'm going to provide the schema, which in this case is very simple. Let's just walk through it so you understand what's happening. The server URL, the location, all right, has to be there. The path. So these two pieces will be combined together to give us the endpoint for the API. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get these Wolfram Alpha results, and it's going to provide a response back for us. The parameters are the types of information that are necessary for this to be put together. So we don't really care about any of this because the LLM is going to figure it all out for us. But in any case, we want to copy that, paste it into our schema. And also we need authentication in this case. Now, the app ID is actually our API key. It's not typical to call it something different in this way, but we have it here. So we're gonna get that and go into our authentication, select API key, again, paste in our app key. And the documentation also tells us this needs to be a bearer token, and then we'll save that. And now that this is all in place, we'll test it and make sure that it works. Wants us to always allow for the first pass on this. Okay, so it says invalid app ID, so it's just not quite set up yet. I do want to make sure that I don't have any special characters or anything in this. No, that looks correct. So I think this is just we just need to wait a minute here for this to come through, and we'll just try again. Let's see, how far away is the moon from Boulder, Colorado? So this is just going to take a few minutes. We're just going to have to wait. I'm not going to set that up for you here, but we're going to move on and come back to this. So we're going to assume this is all correct. We'll save, say it's published only to me. If you want to make this available for others, you can share it, but you need to add in a privacy policy. Now, for something like this, where it's one API call, you could probably use the privacy policy of that API, so Wolfram in this case. But if you are using multiple API calls, you'll have to come up with your own privacy policy. If you're not doing anything with it, it's not that big of a deal, but it's probably wise if you're sharing this widely. And then once you have this available, you can say things like, how far away is the moon from Boulder? Try this again here. All right, so now we've got, oh, how about that? It's actually giving us duration with distance history. That's kind of fun to see that as well. So now we can see some interaction here. We've proven that the API is accessible. Now for the homework, we want to do one extra thing. Not only do we want you to use the API, we want you to trigger some type of calculation to occur where the code interpreter is also necessary. And this will be through an analysis that has to happen. So let's go ahead and say, could a bumblebee, or no, let's say how long would it take a bumblebee to fly from Denver to Boulder? So we can see the action. Of course, this is calling Wolfram Alpha. Needs a second call. That's interesting. And it gets the distance as well as the flight time. I'm just curious what the second, it gets the flight speed. All right, so Wolfram tells us that the bumblebee flight speed is 11 miles an hour, and then the analysis is to create a calculation. So 2 hours and 45 minutes to fly from Denver to Boulder at its maximum speed. And we can see the analysis here, the little calculation that it wrote some code to put together for us. So very simple example, but this is the type of thing that you'll need to do. So get creative. If you're not sure what the Wolfram Alpha API can do, I'll give you a prompt that you can use to find out some additional information and maybe seed some ideas. So once you have this in place, then you're going to need to share it for your homework. And the way that you'll do that is just going up into this top right-hand corner and hitting share. And that will give you all of this. And then you can copy and share this link. You can also get there if you grab the little drop down here and you say share chat. That'll be the same thing. So this link here is what you're going to want to share. And that will be your homework that you need to turn in for this. Hopefully that covers the basics and everything you need to know. But if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out.